Welcome to part 5 of my post-shoot workflow series. So in part 1, I went through getting everything off the camera and onto the computer, my file management system, all that kind of stuff. In part 2, we talked about importing into Lightroom and managing the files and folder structure within Lightroom. In part 3, we went through Lightroom. We culled a bunch of images and I showed you my file management system as far as removing from disk when I removed from Lightroom versus just keeping a whole bunch of files that I'm probably never going to use anyway. In part 4, that was the long one, I took you through how I edit portrait photos in the develop module. It also applies generally to any other types of photos, whether I'm doing that sports, commercial work, etc. Now, in this one, I want to take you through my process of exporting these images, saving them to a disk, my file management system there, as well as getting those off to the client and the software that I choose, at least currently, to do that. So let's dive right in. As you can see, I only have 18 of the original 25 images that I had selected for editing. Through the editing process, I found that some just didn't work, or it was repetitious in that I already had one in landscape, didn't need one in portrait, or vice versa. There were some images that just work better in a portrait format than a landscape format, or vice versa. So I went through, further culled those images, got rid of 7 more. Now I'm down to 18. And these are what I believe to be kind of the final works. Some are meant to be very easy, right? Soft light, everything. Others are meant to be a little more harsh light and black and white, obviously. And then even still, I went for some with heavy color. I really like to include color. That is something that I was influenced by Lindsay Adler. Tremendous when she comes to her use of color. Really recommend you check her out if you haven't already. Definitely do that. But some of these came out really good. I'm really happy with them. Frankly, all of them came out just fine. I'm very happy to publish these images or present them to the client. So let's go through my process now. First things first, I'm going to select all my images. I have the first one selected. I'm going to hold Shift, click the last one. That's the same thing on Windows. I'm going to go up to File and Export. From here, because I've never exported from anything from this Lightroom before, export to hard drive, we're going to walk through all of these settings top to bottom. So there are some Lightroom presets. Honestly, I don't use any of those. I create my own. User presets right now are 0. So I'm going to create what I call my full res images. So first things first, export to desktop, that's fine. Put in subfolder, that's fine. It doesn't matter. What I actually might do here is I might just say my pictures folder as my baseline. That's going to change with every single one. I'm not going to put in a subfolder. Existing files, that's what to do. That's fine. Okay, file naming. You don't have to rename anything. I will choose to rename the files for every export, but just as a baseline preset, not right now. Lowercase, that doesn't matter. Video, I'm not doing video, so I can actually collapse that. Okay, file settings. All right, so this is a newer thing to me, this JPEG XL option. I'm going to go ahead and use it. My quality, when I deliver, 100%. I want the absolute best quality that I can get out of the software that I'm using when I deliver these to my clients. Now, if the file sizes are too large and the client has a specific need case, for example, if they're using it on a web page, that would be a file extension WebP. I can do that. I usually do that in Photoshop after the fact anyway. But in this case, JPEG XL. Now, if I needed to limit a file size, we can get to that a little later. But realistically, I want the biggest, best, most rich photographs that I can deliver to my clients. JPEG XL is that for me, which opens up this. I can do either 8-bit or 16-bit component. I'm fine with 8. That's perfectly fine. If you really wanted to, you could go to 16. It's just a file size component at this point. And the HDR, basically the editing you can do after the fact. If you're unsure about JPEG XL, just choose JPEG, go to 100%, and your color space can be sRGB. You could choose others. I recommend just staying with sRGB for this particular one. If you needed to limit your file size, you could do that here. You can say, hey, I'm doing MLS photos. This is a good example. It can only be 2 megabytes per image. Okay, well, you can limit that here if you really needed to. I don't want to. JPEG, again, I'm going to choose JPEG XL. This is going to be my baseline full res preset. Image resizing, I do not need to resize anything, but if I did, I could. I like 300 DPI here, 300 dots per inch. That's what that stands for. Where did that go? 300 pixels per inch in this case. DPI, PPI, same thing. This, again, full res. If I were to do something else and I wanted to do something that's going to be used on a website, 150 is fine, but you can always do that down the road. Sharpen. I do sharpen for matte paper. And what I have found is when I print something here at the house through the big printer that I have, it is on matte paper. I've experimented with Red River has a really good program. You can order a bunch of different paper types from high gloss to super matte, flat, whatever you want and everything in between. What I did is I ordered a whole bunch of those and I printed the exact same image with the exact same settings on all of those different pieces of paper just to see what it did. And it was a very colorful image. So it had everything from the blues all the way to the reds and everything in between. And I could see from a sharpness standpoint, from a quality standpoint, from a clarity standpoint, how that applied across those paper types. It just worked for me. So I sharpen for matte paper. You could sharpen for screen if you know the images are only ever going to be viewed on the screen. But again, this is my preset for full res. So biggest photos I can get, highest quality images I can get, sharpened for matte paper. For metadata, I only include copyright and contact info. I don't need any of the other information out there. I just do copyright and contact info. I do not watermark as part of my full res. Any watermarks that I apply will likely, that I'm going to deliver to a client, are going to be done in my, my delivery method. So I use CloudSpot, which we'll get to, but CloudSpot has the option for me to include a watermark there. That's where I choose to do that, not here in Lightroom. Post-processing, I do not need to do anything. So now I'm going to add, and I'm going to call this full res default. And it's going to go under user presets, and there it is, full res default. So now when I start my next export of images, whenever that is, whatever those are, I can start with this, and then I can say, okay, from here, I am going to put this in a very specific folder. So specific folder. It's going to choose a folder. I'm going to go back into here. I know I want to put them in my edit, so I'm going to choose that. I do not need a subfolder. That's already done for me. I am going to rename these to custom name, and I'm going to call these Wang Sports Portraits. But I'm going to put the date in here. So it'd be 11/17/25, I believe it was. Wang Sports Portraits, lowercase, uppercase, doesn't matter. I like lowercase. This is a JPEG XL format. So now that I look at that, that might not be something that's compatible on all. So we're going to go ahead and change that to JPEG for this one. But again, my default is fine. I'm going to go 100%. Don't need to resize to fit, 300 DPI, matte paper, copyright and contact. So just verify it's going to the folder that I want. It's named what I want. The file looks good. Matte paper, copyright, and now we're going to click export. It's exporting 18 files. Essentially what I do is I go in, I set all those settings, I create my preset like I just did. I'm now going to export all these images. They will go to that folder with those names, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do from there. Okay, so now everything is exported. Lightroom has put them in the folder that I want with the naming structure that I want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing that my client will do when they get them, which is view them nice and big. That way I can see any imperfections that may have happened or that I may have forgotten to do in Lightroom. This is kind of my last proofing before I deliver them to the client. So what you have to do on Mac, what you can do in Windows is just double click and go through them all. But apparently on Mac, you've got to click the first one, go down, click the last one, right click, open with, and do other and photos. So I bring them into my photos. And then from there, make this nice and big. Okay, so I'm looking for, when I go through this, I'm looking for any imperfections that I may have made. So on a Mac, they make it a lot more difficult. I haven't yet learned the keyboard shortcuts on how to zoom and all that kind of stuff, so we're just going to do this way. I'm looking at each one of these, and I am going to look for any imperfections, like that little thing right there. That might be a distracting element. If I could figure out what that is. Let's take a look. Can we see what that is? That actually might be an imperfection in the glove itself. Let's see if it's on the other one. Yep, I don't see it there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Lightroom. We'll find that image, which I believe is the second one right here. Yes. And I'm going to go in the develop module, and I'm just going to try to erase that. I don't need AI to do it. I think that should do it just fine. Let's see. Yep, that worked. So all that did was take away that distracting element. So the difference is there to there. You can see just that thing there being gone makes the difference. So I'm going to refresh. We will update. And I'm not going to do anything at this point. I'll go back to my photos because there might be more that I need to work with. So that one looks good. This one looks good. I don't see any distracting elements. It looks nice and sharp. Eyes look good. Nothing looks out of place there. Looks good. Oh, there's that distracting element again. So now let's go back into Lightroom. We'll find that image, which I think is this one here. And we'll go ahead and remove that distracting element again. Perfect. It's gone. We'll update our masks. Good. Okay, so I see I missed a logo down here. So we'll go back to that image, which I believe is this one. Yep, there it is. So now we'll go use our AI tool, and we will erase this other logo. Get rid of that. It's important that you go through and you do these fine tunings, these proofs, and honestly, it's fine however it looks. As long as it's black, that's all that matters. The only time it would look weird, and I would go through that for that particular thing, is if it gave it some weird color or made it white. Anything that draws your attention to it, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of. Okay, so that one's good. Same thing there, no distracting elements. I went with black and white here, and I'll show you why real quick. So on that one, I fought this yellow on his neckline for a while, and I couldn't get rid of that yellow, and then the red would pop, so I would do that. But honestly, the black and white has a timeless appeal to it, and if the parents don't like the black and white, that's perfectly fine. They don't have to use it. But for this one, I really like the close-up of the eye. It really showcases an athlete's determination in this particular instance, which is why I went with underlighting. It shows a little bit more of a fierce quality. And the funny thing is, not all youth athletes have a fierce quality to them, but the lighting can help bring some of that out. Yes, the traditional shot. So I would say that that element right there does look a little distracting. So let's go back to that first image. Let's zoom in. We'll grab our eraser tool, and let's just get rid of that distracting element right there. And how does that look? Much, much better. Okay, so from here, what I'm actually going to do is within my edits, I've got all these images, but now that I've updated a number of them, I don't necessarily want to try to figure out which ones I updated and make sure the naming convention works again. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to move all of these to the trash. Done. And then I'm just going to come back here, select all, and I am going to export them again. Now the cool thing is, because I have already done this on these particular ones, I know it's going to the folder that I want with the naming convention that I want and the settings that I want. Everything still looks good. We'll go ahead and click export and it'll work. Okay, so the files are exported once again. Here they are. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these and we are going to open with, it's not there, so we'll click other, applications, we'll go down and find photos, that one there, open, Good, good. So I took the string off the glove on the other one, and it's still there in some of these photos, as you can tell. But again, it's not a distracting element, because when you look at this photo, your eye doesn't go to that. My eye does, because I see it and I've erased it from other photos. But your eye, the client's eye, is not going to go to that string in any of those shots. Okay, now let's talk about how I deliver these to my client. So the software that I choose to use is something called CloudSpot. There is PixieSet, there's Shootproof, there's a bunch of ones out there. For me, CloudSpot has been a tremendous resource when it comes to contracts and invoicing and client portals and projects and all that stuff. So within here, I can create a gallery. So I'm going to go ahead and click New Collection. This will be Wang's Portraits. Don't need the date, but this was hockey. And whoops. This was hockey. This is junior checkers. So we'll do that. Junior checkers. Perfect. So now I can create. Now there's two different ways to do this. Obviously you can drag and drop, or you can browse. I'm just going to go ahead and click browse. We will go desktop, this, and it is all of them. So I'll go ahead and select all and open, and it will drag them all into here. It'll upload them to this gallery. All right, so now all of the images are uploaded into this gallery that I've created. From here, I would publish it, make sure it is attached to the client portal that I've created. And within this particular one here, the client can go through, they can download the full res images as part of the contract that they signed. Obviously, they're going to get full res images. And the interesting thing about CloudSpot, and the thing that I like honestly most about it, is that they can order prints directly from their gallery and they'll ship right to their front door. And the prints are done by professional, award-winning labs. They know what they're doing. It's not a Walmart, it's not a Target, it's not a CVS. This is professional quality prints delivered right to their front door, straight from their gallery. And that's not anything that I need to do. The challenge some photographers run into, of course, is, okay, well, I've got to print them, then I've got to meet up with the client again. And if you do in-person sales IPS, that's perfectly fine. I don't see the need to do it. My clients, some of them want prints, some of them don't. The gallery that I deliver to them gives them the opportunity to go through and get what they want from it. The last thing I have to do here is I've got to put a cover image. And what I like to do is I like to do something that is very eye-catching. So we'll do that one there. And that looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and we'll publish this. I'm going to make this a gallery. I can start with a preset. We'll do a portrait gallery. That looks good. That looks good. The design is good. Downloads full res. No, I don't want to watermark it. Again, this is where I could do that. Access, I'm not going to click on right now because I can password protect this for my client, and that is absolutely what I will do. And then discount codes. I can select discount codes that I can add. So I have a discount code. So we'll do the free 8x10. We'll make sure that's added and print ship to your door. This looks good. So let me go ahead and get the access done, get them their unique password that protects this particular gallery, and then I'll be right back. So now the gallery is created, and the cool thing is I clicked preview, and this right here is what the client will see. When they click their link to go view their portraits and they get to the landing page, this right here is what it will look like. Obviously, they will need to enter their email address and the password to be able to access it, but once they're in, they will have full visibility to all of the photos. And obviously they can click shop, they can buy prints, they can do all that kind of stuff, or they could do it right from here. They can click buy, but they can obviously download everything as well. They can download all, they can download final. It doesn't matter, it's the same thing in this particular instance. They punch in their email address and all the photos come right to them. CloudSpot is a tremendous tool that I use for my clients, especially when it comes to delivering quality, high-resolution files with the ability for them to choose any prints that they want from it. This is definitely not meant to be a sponsorship for CloudSpot in any way. It's just what I'm currently using in the moment, and it has worked tremendous for me. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make sure this is attached to their client portal within CloudSpot, and then I will share this with them. The system will send them an email, and they can go in and they can download their images. So that's it. That's my entire post-shoot workflow. The only time that that would change is if I was shooting something for a team. Obviously, it's not going to go to one individual parent. It's going to go to the parents of all the players on that particular team. Or a commercial project, it may go to more than one person there. But either way, the post-shoot workflow is essentially the same. The only time it ever really differs is on the delivery side of things. Thank you for sticking with the series. If you learned something great, fantastic. The whole reason I'm making this is to help new photographers in this, or maybe somebody who's looking to refine their own system because maybe they don't have one, or maybe it's broken and they feel that it changes every single time. This hopefully is designed to help you with your system. Let me know if there's anything else that you struggle with. I'm happy to share the knowledge that I have. I think this community is better when we do share our knowledge. I don't see any of you as a competitor. There's plenty of work out there for all of us. Yeah, I'm just sharing what I know in hopes to lift the community up and ultimately have us all deliver better quality products to our clients. So thanks for sticking around, and on to the next one.